Hi everyone, welcome. In this video I'm going to teach you how to use the VLOOKUP function or the index match function, which is a combination of two functions, and when to use them. So which one to prefer when? It's going to be our topic today. And I have a fake data set that I prepared, and these are belong to some employees, and assume that. So there are 10 employees with the last names are the most common last names in the US, and the names are the most common 5 boys names and 5 girls names in 2019 in the US. So if you are expecting a baby, here are the options, and there are branches and salaries of the employees that I created randomly using the function rand between 60,000 and 100,000, and then I just use the numbers instead. Now what I'm going to do is I will the link to this file is down below, but I will just download a copy of this file, which is a Google Sheets now. So I will download this in Excel, and then I will work in Excel. So I'm opening this file in Excel, and then it looks like my computer is slow, and now the file is opened and I have the data set. Let's say I want to be able to have the ID of an employee, and then I want to be able to just show the salary of the employee. So I want to show the salary right away when the ID pops up here, or when you type the ID, then the salary pops up. So let's say I want to put the ID number 1004, and I want to see the salary of this ID number. So what I want to do is I will first name these ranges to make it easier for me to work with them. So I will just call this ID at the corner in the name manager, and then I will call this part as the last name all together, no blank space between. And then I will call this name, and then I will call this branch, and this salary. Okay, so this is my data set, and I named every single part of it. If I want, I can also name the whole table, and I can call this my table. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the second sheet, and I will first use the VLOOKUP function. So I will just type VLOOKUP, and then it is asking me to enter the lookup value. Which value that I'm looking for? I'm looking for 1004. In where I'm looking at this value? I'm looking at this value in a table. So the table that I named was my table, and then it says once you find it, which column of the table should I return for you? And if I remember correctly, it was the 5th column of my table. So I will just type 5, and then is it an exact match or approximate match? So the ID, that's an exact match, so I will just put false. Or instead of just typing false there or selecting false, I could just type 0, which means false in logic. So I could just type 0 there, it's an exact match. So when I do that, the salary pops up for 1004. And I could just make this $, and here it is for the ID number, the salary is 88,583. So if I change the ID number to 1008, and then the salary changes. So what's wrong with VLOOKUP? The only problem with VLOOKUP is whenever you say that I want to look up this value 1008 in a table, the VLOOKUP goes to the first column of the table and tries to look for the number in the first column. And if the ID was somewhere else, if the ID was at the end or somewhere in the middle, then the VLOOKUP is not going to be able to look for the ID, because it will look for the first column of the table. So in that case, can we just may use something else? And what we use is we are going to use two functions together. So first we're going to use the match function and then the index function, but we will put the match function within the index function. Let's just try to see how the match function works. So the match function, if I just type match here, looks for a value in an array, not a table, and then returns the relative location of that value within that array. So in that case, for example, if I look for 1008 in where? In ID. So that was the column for me, and I want to find the exact match. Okay, then I know that it's located in the 8th place in the array. So let me just see here. So this is 1008 is the 8th value in an array of their 10 values. Okay, so it's not the place of it. This is the 9th row. It's just the place within the array. Now, how can I use this match function? Now, what I'm going to do is I will use the index function. So what index function does is looks for an array again, or it could look for a matrix, and then it returns a value from there, and you just need to indicate which row and which column is it. And for example, if I'm looking for the salaries, and if I enter, I want to find the 5th row, and there's only one column there in the salary data, right? So just the salary column there. So if I do that, it returns me the index, and it returns me 89,055. Let me just see here the 5th place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 89,055. But I don't want to have the 5th place. I want to have the 8th place. Okay, so in that case, I'm able to find the same exact value by just using the index, the match first, and then index after. But instead of doing that here, what I'm going to do is I will just use them together and just use the salary, maybe just type here VLOOKUP, and then salary using index match. Index match. A lot of parentheses there. Okay, now let me just put that in here. I'm just going to delete this too, and I will first start typing the index, and I will look for the salary, and the row number is the match function, and the match function looks for the ID in an array of IDs and exact match. Okay, and then the column number for the index function, the match function is over now. The column number for the index function is 1. There is only one column there for the salary, right? So then I could just type, and I found the same exact value. Okay, now the index match would work for any column or in different places, etc. The VLOOKUP looks for a table and the first column of the table. Let's just open one more sheet, and now let's say, assume that the salaries are unique. So if the salaries were not unique, this is not going to work. Let's say I want to find the employee's name, last name, and the name for the salary of 84,150. Okay, so I'm gonna type the 84,150 salary, and I want to populate the last name of the person, and then the name of the person. Okay, let's do this, and I'll have to use the index match now because the salary is not in the first column of a table. Or what I have to do is I will have to just maybe move this to here and then use VLOOKUP. But I don't want to change the structure of my table, so I will just stick with the index and match function. So I will say index and where, so I will just say I will look for the names, so last name, and the row number is going to be now match. Lookup value is the salary, in the salary, and the exact match, comma 1, and it's Davis. And I could just move this to the right. It says last name match, it looks for this, and what I did is I just wanted to be quick, so I just copied the formula, but the formula is now moving to the other, so the reference to the cell is changed, so I'm going to change this back to A2. So if you type not the last name but name and then match the salary, the value here to the salary column, and then take the first row. There's only one row under the name column as well. So this one, the match function, is going to return what? The relative location of 84,150. And because we are looking for the same person in that row, and we are going to just assign that row to the name array using for the index function. If I click on the fx here, so what's happening is the lookup value for match function is 84,150 and looks in this array, and then it says it's the 6th value, okay, and then it's Olivia. If I click on the index function and go to fx and click OK, and the name is there, the array, the match function returns 6, and the first column, there's only one column in the name array, and the name turns out to be Olivia. Now we are able to find the last name and the name of the person, and that's 84,150. And if I change this to 71,186, 71,186, and that's James Miller. Let's say if I enter any other number, 70,000, there's no last name, there's no name, and what we could do is we could maybe use an if statement, and if NA or something else, maybe another function, and we could just put maybe an error message there, just indicating that the name is not available. So I think this makes it clear when to use the VLOOKUP and when to use the index match functions together. Thanks for watching.